So, but it just things became more about just self-defense for me, and as when I was in high school, I did taekwondo. That was and I wanted to.
Us shorter people have to
figure
something out, right?
Right. Yeah. And I got picked on when I was a kid in junior high.
My name was Stacy. So
exactly. Yeah. You had it worse than I did, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And he's not a girl.
No.
And your mom has got it going on.
But that's the one thing.
Hey, you're late on that.
You're late.
He's not going to beat the drummer to that.
There it is. Fine.
So
I'm busy eating salami, so I'm a little off my
game.
Hey,
we don't do that on this channel, this podcast.
There's so much energy in here.
Sorry, hey Patrick, that's your OnlyFans account.
Yeah. Wrong account, wrong podcast.
Eating dry salami off my feet. Mm-hmm. I make $1 million a year, bro.
So, I mean, is this something that you did have you done this with your son as well then?
Well, we tried to do that. It became an issue of just being able to focus and try to get through some of that stuff. And there was such an immediate shutdown when he couldn't continue, right? So it was frustrating for him, and it ultimately just didn't work out. But my oldest boy and I brought him to some of my private training with Corey, and it was cool, because then I at least got to, use and train with somebody else that saw what was happening.
Sure.
And, my kid, right, he's going to retain a little bit more than I could at that. It's like, oh, that's how you did that movement. But, but yeah, it's just, great physical conditioning. He put us through a real great routine, and really, I mean, we were training for 30 minutes of really just cardio and strength stuff, and then I got a little nugget of some type of movement or some sticks. And
you did the splits.
Long ago.
Sticks.
Did I say splits or could I do splits?
No, did you?
When I was younger, I could do
really?
splits.
Taekwondo stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Of course, you're doing high kicking with taekwondo.
Well, and that's the thing, right? I didn't know enough at the time. Like, maybe a little guy shouldn't be doing kicks, like high kicks. But I figured it.
Thai boxing is really good for that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Like, and then the dirty boxing. I suppose,
dirty boxing.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there weren't. Well, for me, I guess I didn't research as much, or I couldn't go to the internet and go, here's some cool training. But and it was also I got into the taekwondo stuff because it was a church youth group and some friends that were doing it, and it made sense, But we got to go play tag and tournaments and stuff like that. So that was fun for me. But
and that's really cool. I mean, it's cool to do kind of the stuff to kind of enhance the things that you want to do, like get some cardio in there and get some repetitions and stuff like that. Because let's face it, when we get older, you
just want to be able to kick somebody's ass. Whatever.
You want to be able to stay in shape and do stuff like today. I taught Subak Do for 3 classes for dads because
cool.
Our Subak Do, my instructor, Master Kelly, he's like, hey, we're going to do something. So they did for Mother's Day for the month of May, they did free classes for all the moms that have the kids to do that. And he wanted to do it for dads for the month of June. And he's like, I'd really like to have you teach the classes just to get these dads to know, police officer, all the dads are about your age and stuff like that. So, I taught 3 classes today, and it's great because, I'm not so involved. I'm not breaking bricks, breaking boards. I'm not, sparring. I'm not doing the stuff. What I'm doing is I'm giving my experience, teaching my experience to these dads, and they caught on. This is great.
That's cool.
And when your
That's
kids are, 8, 10, 12 years old, they got their kids doing it. So we did it in a private studio while their kids were learning their stuff. And the dads were like digging it. They're like, this is great and it was awesome because these guys, knew the language and stuff. In Subak-do, it's more of a classical style. Everything's in Korean or Chinese. So we don't go, low block. It's, haramaki,
Okay.
sangdanmaki, being high block. When you're turning around, it's, duyo, toro. So everything's in a different language. But they know all of it because they've been watching their kids for years do
Right,
this.
yeah.
So teaching them, it was great because they all caught on and they all knew the language. And it was really, really cool. And
That's
a lot
cool.
of these dads.
What did you say the master was again?
Master Mike Kelly from,
Oh.
he's a Subak-do instructor.
Does he know, or do you know of William Bader?
I don't.
Master Bader?
Yeah, I fell into that one.
You did. You
and,
did.
and then afterwards, you guys had cream
I
of
was
some
waiting
young
to-
guy.
But it was.
I was waiting on that joke forever.
Yeah, forever. Yeah, but it was cool to see the parents that want to do this stuff with their kids. They're actually taking the time out to learn this stuff to kind of figure it out. Do I want to do this? And I told them, I'm like, this is a great opportunity for you to really connect with your kids in a different way. Especially your kids are a little bit younger. They're 8, 10, 12, 14 years old. I mean, they're learning stuff. This stuff as an adult. You've been walking, you've been turning, you've been jumping and doing this for decades longer than them. So you can learn it a little bit quicker and be on track with them. And it was really a cool experience.
Hey, I wanted to ask you guys quick about what do you guys think? Because you're all old school MMA guys, you do the traditional stuff. What do you think of the newer stuff, like the slapping competitions where they just stand, and they go,
Yeah,
and then they
that's
just
weird.
bam. And then there's also the bare knuckle fighting in the octagon where there's no gloves. It's just they're wearing trunks and they just
Isn't
like.
there a
Do you
part
guys
of
find that interesting, or is it just pure entertainment? It's not really a
so
traditional thing, but
Well, let's do the most that we can
So-
to damage our body. How's
Right.
that?
So what you were gonna
so,
say?
So Brett, there's a spot in the side of your head above your ear where you can just get knocked out.
Well, no, it's not up here. It's
no.
It's on the jawline here. So if you get
Oh.
hit hard here, it disrupts your ear. You get knocked out.
Like-
So the
Like, you
mandibular,
drop like a ton of bricks.
you would, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of people that know. I mean, Stacy knows that. Getting hit underneath the nose here will shock them to the point where they don't see a whole lot. Stacy also knows that if you hit them underneath the mandible here, that you'll disrupt the eardrum and they'll lose balance. They'll drop.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not necessarily knocking them out, but their balance is gone. They'll just fall over. Fight's over.
Stacy, stay away from my mandolin.
But the thing is, Patrick, when you're talking about the slap stuff, that's the same. It's White. What's his first name?
Dana White.
Dana White.
Yeah.
He's investing in that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he invested in that to get it started, from my understanding. Can you Google that? Slap fighting.
No, it's the slap
Dana White.
tournaments where they do the.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just
and,
they put the
And you keep going until someone
chalk
falls
on it
down.
and you slap each other until somebody falls over. It's just like, holy crap, but that's the funny thing is somebody had to think about the fights that were going on at the turn of the century here in the bars. It was a big deal back then that they would sit there and they would draw chalk lines.
Call it a power slap.
Yeah, power slap. Okay. But they would draw chalk lines on the floor and you couldn't go over that chalk line, and they put a chalk line behind you. You couldn't go behind it. And you sat there and you literally punched each other in the face until somebody dropped.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing that they were doing that at the turn of the century. And that was how boxing came from, is that they were started moving around, but they couldn't move and they would just hit each other in the face until somebody dropped.
So they call it it's combat. Actually, the genre is a combat sport reality, and it started in the United States.
Of course it did.
Did it say who started it, or?
It looks like it was a media group started.
So yeah, media group. It probably like
The
Vince.
network was TBS.
Okay, that's probably like
Okay, yeah.
Vince Vince McMahon or
Let me
somebody like
let me give you a
that.
little. Let me give you a
It
little.
was executive. Power Slap's owner was Dana White.
Yeah, so it is
Yeah.
Dana White.
Let me give you a little Filipino history.
Okay,
here,
please.
So they have, the gauge earrings with the big holes in their ears. So they had big holes in their feet. So some of these clans in the Philippines.
Okay.
And they would put a knife in there and they'd fight in a ring. They'd draw a circle around, and each person would put a knife in between their toes,
Okay.
the hole.
Yeah.
And they knife fight.
So they knife fight with their feet.
With the foot, that was the anchor. That anchored you to the ground.
Oh.
So their foot would be out, right?
Yep.
The blade would
And you had-
stick
Yep,
up.
their feet would be together, and then they would knife fight from there, so their foot couldn't move,
Oh God.
and they would.
Well, what position was the knife? Was it like
right
facing
hand, and
up?
you're yeah,
The
no,
blade?
they put blade right through their foot into the ground, so that would be your anchor.
Oh.
So you couldn't move that foot.
That foot had a knife in it.
Yeah, and then they would
Throw
fight,
it.
They would fight with another knife.
Oh my
but,
God.
But do you know anything about Floro Villabro?
I do not.
Okay, so he was the last one to fight the death match in the Philippines.
Okay.
And he fought the Moro stick fighter, and they fought 1955, I think, was the last one in
Okay.
Hawaii,
Okay.
and he won, and he became the Grand Master, and that's who one of Dan Inosanto's teachers is.
Okay.
Along with La Costa and Villabril and Ben Largusa, and there's a whole.
Okay.
I got a lot of
So,
literature on that stuff.
Going
Now,
back to
Bruce Lee was one of Danny and Santo's instructors as
Yep.
well, correct?
Yep. One, it's really funny, is not even a significant one, but not a major significant one as he has. And he still is training with, there's a number of guys that he's still training under that he can't give their names, but they're older than he is.
oh my gosh.
Wow. Older than
yeah,
Dan?
yeah.
So their name is Dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
well, probably as
Yeah.
old as that. I mean,
Yeah.
because Dan was doing stuff with Bruce Lee and Jeet Kune Do back probably early 70s, right?
Well, Bruce Lee died in 73, so this was late 60s.
Late 60s.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
what was that the Ed Parker tournament that when he brought him over. So Dan was tasked to go pick him up from the airport. Ed Parker told Dan, go pick him up from the airport. We have this big tournament. This is the one you see on the videos all the time,
Okay.
where he does the 1-inch punch and stuff.
Yep,
and
yep.
and he's like, hang out with him, take him around town, make sure he's here for the tournament tomorrow. And so he picked him up. They drove around. They talked. They got to the hotel room, and they sparred. And
What was left of the hotel room? I mean,
well,
seriously.
Bruce said, you can use anything you want. I'll only use the jab. And
A jab.
yep, only use the jab. And Bruce knocked him down, but Dan said that it was not a jab. It was like a modified hook
I see.
that knocked him down, but he only used that. And that's when he said he stayed up all night and said, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm a black belt, and I couldn't touch this guy. And that's why he went on to train with Bruce.
Wow.
Yep, so-
Amazing.
But you trained with somebody that
Yeah, Daniel Son was my
Yeah,
instructor.
his instructor is
Yep.
Dan Santo, and you
Rick
trained
Faye's
with
my-
Rick Faye.
so
Yeah,
what
Rick
are
Faye's-
what's the relation with Bruce Lee on that?
Well, Bruce Lee and Dan were close friends.
Okay, gotcha.
Can I ask you about Dan?
Yeah, sure.
So when I was on my journey of
Mhm.
trying to figure out my lineage and all that stuff, and being a fan of martial arts, I read about a Hawaiian ancient style called lua
Okay. Yep.
that apparently is found in some of the systems that Dan Inosanto has. Have you ever experienced or heard about
the
this?
lua. That's that dance too.
Mhm. Well, luau.
Yeah, luau.
Or
Yeah,
lu-
but there's a connection there, and I don't know a whole lot about that.
Okay.
And I can probably find out a little bit about that with the Hawaiian stuff. But there was a lot of escrimadors that came from Hawaii.
Okay.
Dan's dad brought them over to the asparagus farms, and so like Angel Caballas, and there's a lot of those escrimadors.
Okay.
And Dan said when he was a kid, they used to hear the clinking at night, and they would be in the asparagus fields, in a camp or whatever,
Yeah.
and they would hear the clinking, but they were training with their asparagus knives. And Dan, as a kid, used to throw rocks at them, and
Okay.
they'd run away and stuff like that. So, the Filipinos were a part of his life. The Filipino screamadors were part of his life that he didn't know about.
I see.
And actually, Ed Parker told Dan to go ask your dad about Eskrima.
Okay.
What is a screama?
Eskrima, Arnis, is, well, Eskrima, actually, eskrima is a Spanish word, means to skirmish. Kali is, you have, I think there's, in eskrima, there's 13 systems, and call, or the artists is there's 8 or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
I have to look that up. But the different parts of the Philippines, you have northern and southern Philippines, and some were under Spanish rule, the Christianity. So the Battle of Mactan with Lapu-Lapu killed Magellan. When the Spanish came in, but there was also the Muslims, the Moros and stuff. So
right,
that's there's a lot of history there. I've tried to read about it and stuff. It's very, very complex because there's a lot of different families, a lot of different, the Abinico families and the figure 8 families. A lot of different families did all of these different systems, and depending on where they were, on the islands and what their families figured out, and then what we got was what Dan had was all different types of eskrima or Kali. Kali is an acronym for Kamutli Hook, which means body motion. So, and again, the terminology. I'm an American guy, and I probably mess all this up. And sorry to all you Filipino escrimadores that know I'm probably butchering this history and stuff. I should know a lot more.
I can tell you what lua is.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
well, it's an ancient Hawaiian martial art emphasizing bone breaking, joint locks, and weapons techniques.
So that's pretty much Kali.
Yeah. So and there was a lot of obviously
just
for
migration
migration and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's hard to tell where stuff came from and who. We know the lineage that Dan gave us, the La Casa system. But you have Ben Largusa, we have Floro Villabril. There's just so many different systems that we do. We do Balintawak, and there's so many fabulous systems out there. And there's other ones, that are there that never even heard of. And you see a lot of people that are stick practitioners but they all have the same thing in common, is that they all are angle based. You learn the angle, and that's what you attack. So no matter what angle comes at you, no matter what system it is, it's going to come at you at an angle. So if you defend the angle, then
Yeah.
Well, and if you're a father like Patrick, you know the angle because the doorway with the shoe that you throw at your kid.
Yep.
No, he has 2 daughters. Think about it.
Yeah. So Patrick is doing shoebakdo.
No.
Shoe back door.
Shoebakdo. Yeah.
No, Patrick, you're a good dad.
But the nice thing about Jeet Kune Do or the philosophy of Jeet Kune Do and what Bruce Lee with Jun Fan, because I'm certified in Jun Fan and Kali, is that you can blend whatever you want. And the main important thing is that everybody's system looks different depending on their personality and their physical ability. You have big guys, you have short guys, you have skinny guys, you have different body types. So everybody's martial arts should look different. And
that makes sense.
And what they're good at. But you should have a knowledge in all the ranges. You should have a little bit of knowledge in long range weaponry, a middle range and short range weaponry, and then long range, empty hand kicking to punching. You should have a trapping range. You should have some grappling. And so that's what it is. We pull from those systems that are the best. Do a little bit of jiu-jitsu when we're on the ground. We'll do some Vale Tudo when we're on the ground. We'll do some, different things that it's like, oh, I like this. And what I found when I was going through it, I'll go through a few months and it's like, oh, I really like this. I'll really do Wing Chun, and then I'll be, oh, let's do some Muay Thai, let's do some jiu-jitsu. So you're allowed to kind of flow and change and kind of do what you like.